So, do you need a certificate in order to become a death doula? The answer might surprise you. So, hi, my name is Death Doula Beth, and I'm here to tell you exactly everything you need to know in order to become a death doula. So, before we dive into the answer and the reason why you don't need a certificate to become a death doula, I'm going to tell you a little bit of history first. So, for thousands of years, humans have been dying. We've been doing home funerals, home burials, and so that was the normal until the 1800s and 1900s. Why? Because there was a civil war. The funeral industry decided to come in at that point and say, hey, we can bring your soldiers home in a recognizable state so that you can have these funerals. So let us take care of it and we'll just take care of all that. And you can come visit us in our home and, we'll take the stress off of you. So that's what happened. And then it became more mainstream. Now, if you know anything about the funeral industry today, it's like we can't experience death any other way except for going to a funeral home. And so enter the funeral industry. Now, death and dying is something that most people just don't want to talk about. And I'll tell you why. Well, because we just don't want to talk about it. I mean, it's just as simple as that. However, I'm here to break that stigma. And if you're watching this, chances are you're also wanting to break that stigma. So why don't you do me a favor, hit that follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share this video with other people who also like talking about death and dying and grief. Anyway, back to the reason why we are doing this video. So back in the 80s, death doulas started to make an emergence in the America region, so North America in specific. North America specifically. Death doulas have been around since the dawn of time because people have been dying since the dawn of time. We just don't call them death doulas. But the name was coined back in the 80s when we started calling ourselves death doulas. Now, you might have experienced a birthing doula or have heard of a birthing doula because people want to talk about births. It's a joyous, happy experience. Not many people want to talk about death, again, because it's just not something that we talk about. Unlike birthing doulas, death doulas are not under insurance. So we're not really recognized as a useful thing or even talked about. A lot of people that I talk to are like, I don't even know what a death doula is. What is that? And you'd be surprised. These are people in the funeral industry, in hospitals, hospice nurses, you name it. Most people have said, I don't know what a death doula is, but that's intriguing. So let's get back to why a death doula does not need certification. Well, here's the thing. I don't have an answer for why a certification isn't needed. But what I can tell you is that you can practice being a death doula today without going through training, without going through any of that, because it's not regulated. It's sort of like being a tattoo artist. Now, when you think of a tattoo artist, they mentor under an already established artist. And so when you go get a tattoo, you trust that that person putting that ink in the needle and putting it into your skin has done their due diligence. So, just like that, a death doula will need to find a mentor or an association in order to get the training and style that they need in order to become and practice it being a death doula. But in all my time, no one has ever asked for my certification to become a death doula. And when I leaned into that more, I discovered there really is no requirement to do that. It's more so my heart and my mission. So I decided I am going to start spreading the word and also become someone who is mentoring other death doulas out there in the world. Because it's not regulated, you can choose whichever death doula speaks your language, speaks your style, does things similar to you. Maybe you're a hospice nurse that wants to be a death doula. There are hospice nurses all out there that are teaching others how to be death doulas. Shameless plug here for Suzanne O'Brien, who was a hospice and oncology nurse who created Doula Givers Institute. That is a wonderful program. It's really heavy on education. Love, love, love her. You'll also find other organizations out there like ANELDA. ANELDA is one of those great organizations. They do tons of training all the time in person, on Zoom, where you can go at any point to go learn how to become a death doula. The thing about those types of programs is that they might feel a little less personal. And so being able to curate your practice of becoming a death doula relies heavily on who you ask to mentor. So yes, you can go get the certification from an accredited place like that. Not accredited. Accredited is the wrong word to say because it's not accredited. There is no main association that takes this into effect. Like with a nurse, they have to go get accredited. And with a project manager, you have to go, you go through these hoops. Insurance agents, the same thing. You get your license and you have to get continuing education and all of that. And while that is really nice and very, very encouraged, it's also not needed. And so we are working on a way, all of us death doulas are trying to find a way to come together and say, you know what? Something needs to happen where we can be regulated. However, we're not there yet. And so right now is the perfect time to become a death doula in the sense of if you want to practice a certain way, you are able to and free to do so. So then where am I going with this video? Well, I'm glad you asked. I know there's a ton of stuff out there because I've been through it. There's a ton of information out there that if you just Google what a death doula is, you get like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hits, and it can be overwhelming and confusing. And chances are you're watching this video because you Googled, does a death doula need certification, or where can I get a death doula certification? Well, people are not going to tell you that you don't need a certification. What they are going to tell you is that you need their certification. And yes, I firmly believe that education is very important. And yes, I do believe that you should listen to what your intuition says before you lean in and pay for these certifications. But I also want to include that during this process, you also listen to your gut and your spirit and your heart, and you find and you lean in towards those teachers and mentors that you want to learn from, because there's a lot of different flavors of death doulas out there. And not so shameless plug here, I do offer death doula training if that's something that is aligned. We have to be aligned in order to work together. So I'm going to leave this video right here. I know it's short and sweet and to the point, but that's the point, so that you can get the answers that you're looking for. But I want this information to be in your pocket so that you understand what you're getting yourself into. So make sure you're following along because I do plan on putting out more videos similar to this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.